I want to go over these buttons down here at the bottom right-hand corner. You'll notice that right now I am not selected on anything. I don't have any shots highlighted. We have three buttons here at the bottom right. This one here I would not recommend using. This is the camera icon. It will allow you to take video on the fly. But again, I think that you tend to shoot video better through the camera app. You just don't want to be editing as you're actually shooting. Take your time with it. You don't need to rush it. The little microphone icon here is for voiceover. And since yours truly does occasionally do voiceover work, I think we can demo that part. Now, for any of you who are curious, your iPad does have a microphone, and the location of that microphone is really easy to miss. So if you look at the simulated version of my iPad on the screen right now, I'm going to actually rotate it so that it's vertical. There we go. The microphone on your iPad is right at the very top. If you look at where the camera is, it's above the bezel, just barely. In fact, if you have a case, you probably notice there's like a little notch open. That's to reveal the microphone. So when you're recording voiceover work, it's a good idea to hold your microphone relatively close to your face. I'm going to now tap on the icon, which is down here at the bottom right. And so what you'll see as I hold this up is it's giving me sort of a little preview of how my voice appears. And the dot that you see here on the right-hand side is where I'm peaking. So theoretically, you want your peak to be right here in the middle of the yellow. You don't want it to be too far in the red because at that point you're going to start to distort. And if you're over here in the green area, it's not going to sound that great either. It's going to be a little too low. So forgive me, improv is not exactly my specialty. I'm going to rewind the project. Oh, by the way, that's probably a good thing to mention. Wherever your playhead is where it's going to place that audio. So in my case, I'm going to put it at the very beginning. Okay, and we will attempt to do a little improv here. So let's tap on that microphone icon. It says it's ready to record. And don't worry if you screw up, there is a way to review it. I'll show you that in just a moment. Now, when I hit the little red record button, it's going to give me a countdown, 3, 2, 1. And it's going to start to play the project, and it should play it. We had a little weird thing happen last time. It should not play the audio, because if you think about it, if your iPad is playing the audio of the project while it's recording audio, you're going to have distortion. So let's give it a shot, see how it goes. This year we had an amazing crop when it came time for pears to ripen. Don't know. Oh, I do remember why it's doing that. It has to do, you probably heard the audio play just now. The reason why it did play it has to do with the fact that I am right now mirroring my iPad. So that's the reason why. If I actually, this should help. If I mute my computer, I'm going to redo it. So when you finish recording, you'll see here you have 4 options. Cancel, retake, review. It'll just replay the clip, and accept. So let's do a retake. This year, our pear tree produced an amazing crop. We had over 240 pounds of pears to give away to everyone in our community. People made pear pie, pear butter, you name it. And now we start getting into random drone shots. So when I'm done, I'll put the audio back on. When I am done, and let's rotate, by the way. There we go. I can simply hit accept, or I can hit review. And I want to actually mention something that I did that I probably shouldn't have done if this was an actual project, is that if you're going to have a gap of time where you're not going to be speaking, it's really best to stop recording and then fast forward your playhead and then start recording again. Because remember, when it senses that there's voiceover, even if you're not really speaking, it's going to lower the audio of your project. So let's hit accept and see how it looks. This year, our pear tree produced an amazing crop. We had over 240 pounds of pears to give away to everyone in our community. People made pear pie, pear... You get the idea. Now, let's say I just did what exactly I just did. And so there's no audio that's supposed to be right here in the shot. Well, you can do, see that little purple bar? That purple bar represents the new voiceover clip. So I can do the exact same thing that I showed you how to do with video. So if I want to create a splice, let's see where my audio ends. It should be right around here. Amazing crop. Okay, so I want to cut the audio at that point. So what I can do is just simply tap on the bar, that little purple bar, and swipe down, just like I did with the other. Now, to make sure that this shot has no audio, what I'm going to do is tap on that purple bar again, and we once again have that little yellow bar. So I can now drag that over here to the side, and I think I started talking somewhere around here. We had over... Nope, I was wrong. So now we can just trim it. We had over 200. So now when I replay this, you'll hear what happens with it's going to fade down my audio right around here, fade in the music. It's going to fade it up right here. It's going to fade down the music here and fade up my audio here. Let's just see how that came out. Tree produced an amazing crop. We had over 200. So you can kind of see how that works. So that's that part. Final few little things we're going to go over here. I want to go over what this little gear icon is at the bottom right-hand corner. So this has to do with settings that are going to affect the entire project. So I mentioned earlier that with a filter, you can apply to an individual shot or the entire project. And of course, if you want to change it later on, you can. So if I want to make this whole video black and white, with one tap, I can convert every single shot. And what I find really amazing about this is that in iMovie on the computer, it would have to render this process. Okay, it's not immediately instant. Or sorry, that's with Final Cut Pro. My bad. But it's instant with this. So now if I replay, even though my preview clips at the bottom, appear to be all color, you'll see that they're actually black and white. Using crop when I go to playback. Go back there. You can change the theme at any point in time. So if I want to kind of spice it up a little bit, I can go from bright to playful. And those little creative theme transitions, well, let's see how it looks now. That was just weird. Going back here, theme music, you can turn on or off. It's going to just override whatever audio you have for music, and it's going to insert the theme music that is attached to that particular project. Probably I wouldn't recommend it because you want to be able to play with audio. You want to try different songs and see how it comes out. I mentioned at midpoint that there's an easy way to fade in and fade out of your project. It's right here under the gear. So you can, with one tap, fade in from black and fade out to black at the end of the project. This next option here is pretty cool for people who aren't masters at editing. What this is going to do is it's going to retime your shots to match the beat of the music, or it's going to at least attempt it. From what I've tried in the past, it actually seems to work pretty well. So let's try, I don't know if it's going to affect this kind of clip very much. Yeah, from what I can see here, I can already tell it hasn't done a heck of a lot. Okay. And that's that. Now, when you're done with your project, you want to know, well, what can we do with this video? Well, here's what we're going to do. You see that little arrow actually up here at the top left corner? I'm going to tap on that right now. And you'll notice that we have a few different options here. We have a play button, and that will just simply play your project. So if you're with your family and they just want to see what you've been working on and you don't want to export it to YouTube, but you just want to play it on your iPad, this is one way to do it. Next here we have the share button, and that should look familiar to those of you iPad owners. If it doesn't crash, which is what it seems to do every time I do this on a simulated iPad, here we go. So you can share it now with a ton of different projects. You can share it to iMovie Theater. And for those of you who aren't familiar with iMovie Theater, it usually has, the way you would use it is if you have Apple TV. So it'll basically take your project, put it on iCloud, and you can watch it whenever you want on Apple TV. Option 2 is Facebook. And one of the questions I received in the last class is, what is my particular preference when I'm exporting a video? I tend to do two different options. I usually save the video so that I have it as a file, and technically iTunes and iCloud Drive are other ways to save the file. It's just in different methods. I don't like sharing it directly to Facebook. And here's the reason why. When you go to YouTube, you can track how many people have viewed it. And that's kind of a cool thing. You've worked hard on a project. You want to know how many people have enjoyed it. You can see comments. People can click that little like button, hint, hint. Vimeo, I am personally not a fan at all of Vimeo. Vimeo was actually one of my biggest mistakes when I started PC Classes Online. And the reason has to do with how Vimeo works as a business. They don't value content, in my own personal opinion. We had to pay them to put video up, whereas with YouTube, they welcome everyone with open arms, and there's no cost. If you've shot an amazing news story, you shot that tornado or that earthquake, you can send it directly to CNN. Wonder how they got that deal. Now, iMessage and email are options here. I don't really know why, because you can't email a video. It's too big. So usually what you would end up doing is sharing it through some sort of another option like Dropbox or iCloud Drive once that comes out, etc. And for those of you who have other programs in your iPad that accept video, okay, like you can see, like I actually have Tumblr on my iPad. I have never used it, but I have it here. I could share it through Tumblr. I don't even have an account with them. Also, you'll see here is your little trash can to delete your project. And that is a little preview of iMovie on the iPad.